Reverend Lee Hite is with us this morning. We're welcoming him back to our community. He served here for a while with us. In just a little slice of his 30 plus years of ministry, service to the Centers for Spiritual Living at the national, international level, as well as locally. He's also an author, a teacher, a mentor, a dad, and a granddad, I believe. Yeah. I am thrilled to welcome back to our center Reverend Lee Hite. Please welcome him.
Oh, wow. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see y'all. So I got the title. I got handed the title for today. Hello, is it working? And my brain, like many of you, I'm sure, instantly went to the cell phone commercial where it's like, can you hear me now? But how often in our lives do we, especially for those of us who are practicing these principles that we talk about all the time, we get into our lives, we get into a situation, and we're like, well, I've been doing everything right spiritually. I've been doing all the things. I've been doing my prayer work, my treatment work, my journaling, kept my attitude right, doing my affirmations and all the things. And what the heck is going on? My life seems to be falling apart. Anybody else? Or is it just me? Yeah, that's what I thought. We go through this kind of stuff. It's like, I'm doing all the things, but it sure as heck looks like it's not working. What's the possibility, my friends, that even when it appears to not be working, maybe it is working? Maybe it is. Today we're talking about solstice. It's not only Father's Day; it's summer solstice, and so it's this is the day of the longest light of the day. But it's also the beginning of the darkness returning, isn't it? The day is going to start getting shorter immediately. And so do we look at that and go, man, dang it? Am I going to push back against this thing that says, man, it's getting dark now? Or can I still celebrate the light? Can I look at it all and just say, this is just life being life? This is life working. And I am just going to decide that, yes, it's working and it's working for me. It's working on my behalf. Because even when we are in the midst of the longest day of the year, the light doesn't eliminate the darkness. It simply illuminates it. Light is not here to eliminate the darkness. It's here to illuminate it. Spiritual practices do not necessarily eliminate challenges. They illuminate our path through it. They open us up to a place that says, you know what? Maybe there is a way. Maybe I'm shifting from looking at my life and looking at the conditions of my life and seeing all of them as circumstances holding me back, or are the opportunities for me to learn and grow? Are the opportunities for me to open up to maybe a new way of being, a new way of looking at things? It's like we grow up learning from our fathers and grandfathers and mentors and those taking a more masculine role in our lives. We grow up surrounded by these people who are guiding us through all these changes and challenges. And the ones who are wise, the ones who are smart, are not the ones that simply sweep aside those challenges for us. They're the ones that support us in learning and growing our ways through them and finding our own answers. They help us discover our own strengths. So maybe when it's not working, life is giving us the opportunity to learn and grow our way through the challenges rather than simply removing the obstacles for us. It's presenting us with opportunities to grow into that which we say and claim and are affirming is our heart's desire. What's the possibility in that for each of us? So, when we look at our spiritual practices are about alignment. And Joe, this is two. The purpose of spirituality is not necessarily to create a perfect life. It is to awaken to the perfection that is already present within it. Right? To clean away, to clean our windshield, so to speak, of all the doubts and uncertainties and all the fears and anxieties, to sweep all that stuff away, we do our spiritual practices, and then, oh, I can see. Then I can see. So maybe when I'm doing my treatment work, what the opportunity is for me to come into greater alignment. The object is to sweep aside the things that are no longer working so that life can work for me. Ernest Holmes says this when he's talking about spiritual treatment and spiritual practices. He says, the purpose is not God's mind that needs to be changed. Back that up just a minute. It is not God's mind that needs to be changed. It is ours, is what we are about changing. Treatment is not willing things to happen. It is to provide an avenue within ourselves through which they may happen. Through which they may happen. What we're doing is creating the, as Ernest Holmes would go on to say, he says, we are creating a mold within the universal subjectivity that spirit just comes in and fills and says, okay. And that mold is always being filled and refilled and refilled and refilled. And as we change and learn and grow, so does that mold. Sometimes what is not working is the old version of ourselves that we just refuse to let go of. But I've always done it this way. I just went through my 40-hour plus a week job. We're going through a massive reorganization right now. And in the beginning, it was driving me nuts. And what I discussed and what I discovered within myself is that I was very attached to doing things the way I had always done them at work because I had been doing it the same way for 18 years. And all of a sudden, come January 1st, I was being asked to change. And then on February 1st, I went from one email for work to three, and on and on. And I was just, it was the whole thing. And I finally had to progressively get my way into a space where I was embracing the new way of getting to work. I was embracing the opportunities, the changes, the different ways of doing things, the opportunities to get. I actually found myself in a place where I'm getting more opportunities to be a little creative, which is kind of fun. Not so much autopilot. at work, which is nice. And how often do we do that in our day to day stuff? Not just around the house or going on vacation or doing all the things. But when I attach to the way I've always done things, I am getting in the way of the newness I'm trying to create. It's how do I hold on to the way things have always been and move forward at the same time? It's not going to work very well. I would be essentially crucifying myself by way of my own fear, my own uncertainty, my own doubts. Transformation rarely feels graceful from the inside. That's the word I was looking for. Most often it feels like uncertainty wrapped in possibility. Transformation rarely feels graceful from the inside. It feels like uncertainty, grace wrapped in possibility. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. And how comfortable can I be? How comfortable am I in the face of not knowing what's next? And how often do we really know what's next? Do we really know? We can make a best guess. We can say, yes, this is the path that it looks like I'm going this way. And I know I have a plan for the rest of my day. But is it really going to unfold in exactly that manner in which I am imagining it? And how am I going to handle it if it doesn't go quite right? These are the opportunities that we have to just stop and pause and breathe through the moments. And breathe through the challenges and stop and recenter and reground and really embrace kind of the idea that says, I really don't know what's going to happen. I have a vision of it. I have an idea of how it's going to be, but I always get kind of pulled back to this place that says, you know what? This is the vision, and I'm holding the vision, and I'm going to say in the same moment, the same breath, the same time, this or something better. This or something more appropriate for me. This or something that is going to lift me up and move me forward. This or something more expansive, more expressive, more aligned with who and what I am on the inside. Because again, going back to what we talked about earlier, spiritual mind treatment for me, the spiritual practices for me are not necessarily about creating something new. What they are about for me is creating a new relationship with a more expansive version of myself, with this larger idea of who I am that I may not even be consciously aware of, but that I know is inside. Clearing away all that stuff from the windshield, so to speak, that says, you know what, I can be more, I can be greater. And if I'm still here on the planet, there's still stuff for me to do. There is still growing for me to do. And yeah, sometimes, I know for myself, sometimes I get tired. Sometimes I just want to say, stop. And in those moments, I just take the time to reset. Or I have a meltdown and let all the angst out. Let the tears out. Let the screaming out. And then come back and say, okay, I can be here. And I can be patient with me. And I can be patient with life. And I can be patient with all them out there, they're all doing it to me, and they're not really doing it to me. They're just reflecting back to me the chaos that's going on inside. Life can be a wonderful mirror. Life can be an amazing guide for me if I'm willing to stop and look and listen. Because as we all know, inside of every ending is a beginning. And inside of every failure is preparation for something new. We step through what appears to be, we step through what seems to be into a new place that says, oh, I get to do it this way now. Oh, look at that. I have a new tool. I have a new spiritual practice that can maybe move me into the next step. Or maybe a new friend shows up with just a handful of little words that illuminate a challenge I've been chewing on for 2 weeks. I've had that happen. Sometimes it's a matter of getting out of my own way long enough to be able to hear or to see or to feel what really needs to happen next. We get to build a deep sense of faith within ourselves that is not about certainty of outcome, but is really about the confidence that says, there is a presence in, through, around, and as me that walks with me in each and every moment. There is something in this world, something in this life that is supporting me in what I'm doing. And we make that shift that Michael Singer talks about, the shift that says, that moves us from why is this happening to me to what is this inviting me to become. We move from why is this happening to me to what is this inviting me to become. I suspect that there are people here in the space today, people listening online or watching later, that are sitting here wondering, why are my prayers not being answered? Where is the light? I'm stuck. I'm trapped in the dark. What is going on? And sometimes it's a matter of recognizing that even in the midst of all that, even when we can't see it, the treatments work, the prayer works, the affirmations work. The seed that is living underground can't see the flower that it's going to become. The caterpillar can't see the butterfly that it's going to transform into. The dawn is not aware necessarily of the moon. Life is always working. Spirit is always active and moving in our lives. Love is always unfolding, and the light has not left us ever. It is always within us and around us and moving through us at each and every moment. And even when we close our eyes, we can see it, we can sense it, we can feel it. All of this is happening all around us in each and every moment of our lives. And it's a matter of us being still and quiet enough to listen and hear. It's always working. We just may not like the outcome in the moment. We may not like the process that we have to move through to get to that place. We may not like the process of letting go of the ideas and the things that have accompanied us to this point on the journey. But sometimes we have to let go in order to move forward. It's like a friend of mine said, Anthony, I don't know if he's quoting Tony Robbins or because he's worked with Tony Robbins for a while. He says, when you are setting sail in your boat to a new way of being, to a new place in your life, don't just untie the rope, burn down the pier so you can't go back. Let's paraphrase. Burn down the dock because you don't want to go back to that place. And quite honestly, what we understand is that we can never really go back because we've changed. We've become different. And embracing that new way of being and letting go of the doubt that says, man, is it really working? Is it? Yeah. We trust that it is. We trust and know that life is always saying yes to the content of our consciousness because that's all it has to work with. We know that there is only one life, one presence, one infinite intelligence expressing through all creation. And we trust that that life is working for us, through us, and as us. And we let go of everything that has gone before so that we can open and embrace that something new. That is what we are about. That is how we know that indeed it is working. And so I'll invite you all for a practice this week, a spiritual practice. Yeah, go do it. We didn't check in on that earlier. All right, the spiritual practice for this week. I hovered your. Oh, there it is. I'm going to offer you a question to work with this week. Where in my life am I trying to control outcomes rather than align with divine wisdom? Where in my life am I trying to control outcomes rather than align with divine wisdom? And when we start getting stuck, if we start getting stuck this week, that is the question. Let's pray. Let's put this principle to practice right here and right now. And we turn within to recognize the one infinite power and presence that is God, that is this infinite spirit of life and love and truth. It surrounds us and enfolds us, lifts us up, and empowers us to see very, very clearly the truth of who and what we are. Go into this time, into the rest of this week, grateful, practicing gratitude for the sure and certain knowingness within us that this life is working for us right here and right now. The divine love and wisdom guide, guard, direct, and protect us in each and every moment. With every breath we breathe, with every thought we think, everywhere we look, we see spirit looking back at us, lovingly, joyfully, beautifully. We set aside now everything that has gone before, allowing the light of love and joy to shine forth through us. We create this beautiful avenue within us through which life expresses for our good, for our prosperity, for our health, for our wholeness, for all of it. We know and trust that all is well, that life is good and very good, not just as each and every one of us, but for each and every person we share this journey with. And so we let it be, and so it is.